We begin our second half hour with Decision 2022 and the updated election results from Maricopa County. The county released a new batch of results within the last hour, and the key races remain neck and neck.
All right, let's quickly blow through some numbers here and get you up to date, although we have not received the big ballot drop that we've been expecting. But it's still Katie Hobbs hanging on over Kari Lake. Again, these numbers will likely change before the end of the newscast.
All right, let's take a look now at the race for Secretary of State. Adrian Fontes is still in the lead, 52.3%. Mark Fencham is at 47.7%.
And in the race for U.S. Senate, it is still close, although the margin here is a little bit wider between Mark Kelly and his Republican opponent, Blake Masters. Kelly leading at 51% to 46%.
And we have live team coverage breaking down the high-stakes race that could still go either way.
Michael Dowden is covering the Blake Masters campaign with a look at what he needs to win this race. But let's begin with the incumbent, Mark Kelly. Team 12's Chase Golightly is live for us in Tucson with the latest. Hey, Chase.
Hey, Mark Uribe. Well, both candidates say they are going to win this highly contested race. They knew from the beginning it was going to come down to the wire, and they were both right. Now, looking at the latest numbers that are currently on our page, looking at this Senate race, it looks like Mark Kelly's currently leading by 87,000 votes. Now, that's completely different than what we saw last night during that initial release of ballots, where he was leading by as many as 240,000 votes. Republican candidate Blake Masters really cutting down the lead here. Now, Senator Kelly has not talked with us today. His campaign only saying they continue to be confident they will win this race, which echoed what he said last night after those polls closed.
I'll tell you what, folks, I am feeling confident tonight. Now, at the same time, it doesn't look like we're going to have the final results for a little while. And that's okay.
Now, Kelly stressed that all the votes need to be counted in this race, urging his supporters to just be patient in this process. We know there's a lot more votes still coming. We're still waiting for that drop to happen here shortly. Of course, we'll be sure to keep you updated on air and online as we receive the latest data. For now, we're live in Tucson. Chase Golightly, 12 News.
All right, Chase, thanks. On the Republican side, Blake Masters hopes the votes continue to trend his way and that he'll continue to close the gap.
Team 12's Michael Dowden has been following and talking with the campaign, and he is joining us now. And Michael, what is the feeling?
Yeah, as Chase mentioned, the Masters campaign is also feeling hopeful, and it does make sense based on really how different the race looks compared to those initial drops we saw last night that really saw that 244,000 vote lead for Kelly, now down to that 87,000 mark, and there's still hundreds of thousands of votes still to count. In fact, the campaign tweeted out this morning, quote, "With the remaining ballots outstanding, we are confident we will win." And his hopes really rely on the belief that the votes that are still left to be counted will reflect those who voted in person on Election Day. Of that group, he's gotten about 68% of that vote. Now, this is something he did predict a few days ago, but pollsters looking at these very same numbers aren't sure that those remaining ballots are out there, including the 270,000 ballots that were dropped off on Election Day will go exactly the same way.
I think, the Dems might start out up early because of their early vote, but we're going to catch up. We're going to catch up with the Election Day vote, and then the late early vote. I think we're going to catch Mark Kelly. We're going to pass him and never look back.
I don't suspect that the 275,000 will go 67% for Republicans like the Election Day voters do. I think they'll probably lean a little Republican, but not at such a great margin.
Now, Paul Vince, that pollster you ended up seeing there, projects that Masters needs to win about 57% of the remaining vote to actually catch Mark Kelly at this point. He actually compares the situation that Masters is in to a similar one that former President Donald Trump faced back in 2020, where he was down by 220,000 votes on election night. And of course, he fell short by about 10,000 votes. Guys, back to you.
All right, Michael, thank you. Arizona voters are making it very clear this election that they didn't want dark money in political campaigns.
Here's a look at the results. The AP confirming that Prop 211 will pass with roughly 3 out of 4 voters approving it across party lines. It'll force donors of at least $5,000 and up that pay for all of those negative ads to publicly disclose their identities. Team 12's Joe Dana explains why the prop supporters hope that it results in a better democracy.
In 2018,
the race to outlaw dirty money in Arizona is in the final sprint.
They were derailed by a legal challenge. In 2020, COVID halted their efforts. But on Tuesday night,
well, it's been a long road.
The Stop Dark Money Coalition celebrated a decisive victory at the ballot box.
And that's what we've maintained all along, was this is something everybody thought made sense.
Under Arizona's current laws, small campaign donors must disclose their identity and address. But larger contributions can remain anonymous through a network of nonprofit corporations. In 2014, reporters exposed how a utility company funded campaigns for its own regulators using dark money. And since then, pressure has mounted, blaming anonymous campaign donors for sleazy, misleading ads that don't require accountability.
Arizonans want transparency. They've wanted it for a long time. The challenge is getting on the ballot.
Former Attorney General Terry Goddard and business owner David Tedesco were behind the campaign's many efforts. Tedesco saying, getting to know politicians over the years, he's seen the negative influence of dark money.
The challenges dark money poses for both our republic and for individual politicians on both sides of the aisle are quite significant. I have politicians say things to me like, I feel like a spectator in my own campaign once dark money kicks in, right?
Two groups opposed the measure, saying it limits free speech. It could face a legal challenge. Goddard believes this week's vote represents a new chapter in Arizona politics.
Campaigns in Arizona are going to change. When you got to put your name at the bottom of an advertisement, you're going to be much more responsible about what's in it.
Joe Dana, 12 News.
Joe, thanks. As the results continue to come in, 12 News is your home for Decision 2022. You can find the latest results as well as what the candidates are saying on 12news.com and on the 12 News app.
Still ahead on 12 News at 6, a nationwide strike of rail workers is being put on hold, but the back and forth between companies and rail unions is far from over.
Plus, as Americans deal with runaway inflation, the cost of credit card debt is reaching record highs. And yet another delay for the Artemis 1's first launch. Why severe weather, that approaching hurricane, is causing NASA to scrub the launch.
And we are tracking some rain and snow showers. Temperatures are going to cool off as a cold front crosses all of Arizona. Eventually, skies will clear late tonight and a cold start to our Thursday. Your full forecast coming up.
Checking on Wall Street, stocks fell today, breaking a three-day winning streak. The Dow dropping over 600 points, or just under 2%. The losses were fueled by the uncertainty of who will control Congress, as well as a drop in the price of Bitcoin.
It is time to get you up to speed on stories that we're following tonight. The Federal Reserve's efforts to control inflation have sent credit card rates to the highest level on record. According to Bankrate.com, the average annual percentage rate climbed to just under 19% as of November 9th. It is the highest rate since the service's database first began in 1985. The national average rate for credit cards is up by over 2.5% so far this year, the biggest single-year increase on record. The threat of a nationwide strike of railroad workers is on hold, at least for now. One of the big railroad unions was prepared to strike as soon as the weekend before Thanksgiving, but negotiations will now continue through the beginning of December. Experts, they expect a strike by any single rail union would lead to a shutdown of America's major freight railroads, since all of the other unions would likely follow suit. And launch of the Artemis 1 rocket mission is delayed yet again. This time it's because of weather, as Hurricane Nicole is expected to strengthen into a hurricane before it hits Florida. The next launch attempt will now be November the 16th. The Artemis 1 mission will send the spacecraft on a test mission around the moon as NASA aims to return humans to the lunar surface for the first time in half a century.
Coming up next, with the hurricane already upending plans for Artemis 1, we'll track when that storm will make landfall. Plus, we take you behind the scenes of HBO's Hard Knocks as the Cardinals make their debut on the hit show. Back now on 12 News at 6. Hurricane Nicole targeting Florida, and the storm's elements are already being felt all along parts of the Atlantic coast. The storm reached Category 1 status in just the last few hours, and if it makes landfall in Florida at its current strength, this would be the first time in 37 years that a hurricane has made landfall in the U.S. during the month of November.
Let's bring in meteorologist Lindsay Riley with a closer look at where the storm is moving. Lindsay, when could Nicole actually make landfall?
Later tonight. So landfall is when the eye wall crosses over land, but we're already beginning to see the outer bands of heavy rain moving onshore. So just a couple hours until that center of circulation, which is over the Bahamas right now, makes it inland, which will happen tonight. It is going to be veering more to the north and west. Currently, it's going due west, but that track is going to change ever so slightly. Maximum sustained winds right now at 75 miles per hour, moving to the west at 13. You can see by later tonight, it's going to make landfall north of West Palm Beach near Fort Pierce. It's actually going to cross all of Florida, briefly go back out into the Gulf tomorrow, and then back up north through Georgia as well as South Carolina, bringing heavy rain to much of the southeast. You can see our weather nice and quiet. This is the 5-day precipitation forecast. So after today, our weather turning sunny, dry, and gorgeous. But the East Coast, that is another story. All those areas in purple is rain in excess of 1.5 inches, but we will have even higher totals, 3 to 5 inches from Fort Pierce up through Jacksonville, and about 3 inches in coastal areas of Georgia and South Carolina. So we are looking at heavy rain, some storm surge as well, and that'll continue over the next 24 hours. Here's a look at our satellite and radar and what's left of some of the showers. Colder air is moving in. We'll see more snow showers as the night wears on. Up in the high country, some moderate bursts of snow right along the rim. Definitely we'll see some accumulation there. But as far as the sprinkles in the valley, an additional sprinkle or two will be possible. But for the most part, we're done with the heavy rain and the skies will clear and give way to a cold night tonight. We're at 59 in Phoenix, 33 at the Grand Canyon, 63 in Lake Havasu. Forecasted lows for tonight will be on the chilly side. Jacket weather all across the state out the door tomorrow. 27 in Show Low, 16 in Flagstaff tonight, 33 in Page. Around the valley, low to mid 40s expected. Approximately 7 a.m. tomorrow morning, definite jacket weather. And then for the afternoon, we're below average, but not too bad. We'll be right around 70 degrees. Lots of sunshine. Wind speeds much lighter tomorrow. We're done with the high wind warnings and wind advisories. Those have expired. So here's our Thursday forecast. 55 in Sedona, 69 in Lake Havasu, 48 in Page, and 47 in Show Low. Here's our Flagstaff 7-day, and after tonight, tranquil weather for the next week. Morning lows in the teens, daytime highs in the 40s. And in the valley, pretty much 70 degrees for the next week, but morning lows will be on the colder side. We're going to wake up to high lows in the 40s each morning.
All right, Linz, thanks. Time for sports with Team 12's Cameron Cox. And Cam, as much fun as it must be to be on a show like Hard Knocks, it can't be easy when you're scuffling.
No, it can't be easy when you're losing like the Cardinals, but that's what we're going to see tonight. And the guys, they're excited to see what they put out there.
You said on Monday that you went all fire and brimstone like a month ago. What does fire and brimstone cooking curry look like?
I mean, we'll save that for the Hard Knocks, I guess, but I think just for our fans to see what these guys are as men, family men, fathers, sons, I think that's really important, and we got a great group of guys.
Yes, they do. Big night. HBO's in-season edition of Hard Knocks featuring the Cardinals premieres. After the show, go to 12news.com to watch our reaction podcast to each episode. But first, a peek behind the curtain, a behind-the-scenes look at the hit show that takes you behind the scenes.
We're not here to tilt the competitive edge in any manner whatsoever.
They hide in plain sight, in the background, on the field, in the sky. Or as longtime NFL films director Steve Trout puts it,
we call it we're being flies on the wall.
It didn't bother me much. I enjoy it. It's fun.
You don't notice it much, almost to a fault. You'll say some things that maybe could get you canceled and have to kind of give them the, okay, that's out.
They're not the stars of the show, but it's their job to make the stars human.
Better than any other show is we humanize these people. They're not football robots. You know, Hard Knocks itself has been around since 2001. We didn't know what we were doing, and we kept building this. The Holy Grail has always been to take that model and do it in the regular season.
Hard Knocks has the Holy Grail set up at the Cardinals practice facility. This is where they monitor, listen, and control all those flies on the wall.
We're there when the coaches get there, and I think we all know that's early, and we're there when the coaches leave.
Up to a dozen folks on the ground in Arizona, 80 to 100 people back in New Jersey editing this show together.
The top 1.5%, 2% of all that we shoot makes the show.
But they have just one rule. It's got to be real.
We tell players all the time, the second we sense you're hamming it up at all for the camera, cameras are off.
You know how many times I've been knocked on my in my career? You get back up and you go out there and you catch the next one.
So that would end the debate of this famous Hard Knocks scene of defensive end J.J. Watt in Houston. Many thought he was just putting on a show late after practice for the cameras.
We use incredible lenses, so we were 30 to 40 yards away. He had to be incredibly savvy to know we were there. No, that just happened. That's the fly on the wall mentality.
Year 2 of the in-season edition of Hard Knocks, it will showcase the Cardinals through the first 8 weeks and follow them till the end.
He said it looked natural.
You thought like putting something on the wall? Or?
Thank you. What'd I say? I told him we need some CGI going on. Looked like I was in prison.
Maybe the cameras will help this team avoid another second-half collapse. There's a legendary story to back that up.
Steve Sable was shooting the Packers practice in like 64. We ran out of film, and Steve and his crew are leaving the field. Lombardi says, stops practice, says, Steve, what are you doing? He goes, Coach, we're out of film. He goes, I don't care. You stay here and pretend you're shooting. My guys perform better if they know they're being watched.
It has an opportunity to come in and guys will perk up when the camera's around. You don't want to look bad on camera. It's just kind of human nature.
And coming up, we have the latest update as the election results continue to come in, and we'll also show you how you can get the latest numbers right from your phone.
Before we say goodnight, we wanted to get you the latest numbers on the race for governor. These are numbers coming in from both Maricopa County and Pima County. And as you can see, the numbers have changed, but just slightly, with Katie Hobbs still holding on to her lead, actually slightly increasing her lead over Kari Lake. We're expecting a much bigger ballot drop later on tonight.
And as the ballots continue to be counted, you can get up-to-the-minute results as they come in.
All you have to do is pull out your phone and hold your camera up to the QR code you see there on your screen. That will take you to the elections page on our website for the latest election results from the Associated Press. You can also head directly to 12news.com/elections for up-to-the-minute vote totals from across the state and here in the Valley.
Thanks, everyone, for putting your trust in us. Remember, we are always on at 12news.com, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, and all of our social media channels.
We'll see you back here later on tonight for 12 News at 10.
Tonight on 12 News at 10, weather alert. A new storm brings rain to the valley and snow to the high country.
So how low will the temperatures go? And Arizona's top political races still too close to call as we wait for another round of ballots.